Have you ever felt a woman pull away, right when it seemed she was getting closer? That confusion, that ache in your chest when her silence feels louder than words. Most men think that means she's losing interest. But what if I told you, sometimes a woman goes quiet not because she feels nothing, but because she feels too much? Before we go deeper, subscribe and like this video, because what you're about to hear can completely change the way you read attraction. Listen carefully. A woman who likes you does not always make it obvious. In fact, many women do the opposite. They hide, they test, they pull back, and men misread it every single day. One of the silent games women play when they secretly like you is controlled distance. She creates space, not permanent distance, just enough to make you wonder. And if you don't understand female psychology, you'll assume she's cold, uninterested, difficult. But often she's watching, reading you, feeling you, seeing whether your energy changes when she stops giving so much. Does your confidence disappear? Do you become needy? Do you chase harder? Do you panic? Because when a woman likes a man, she doesn't just want chemistry, she wants emotional safety, and sometimes she tests that in silence. Maybe she suddenly takes longer to reply. Maybe she becomes slightly mysterious. Maybe conversations that were flowing suddenly feel restrained, and you think, I did something wrong. But sometimes she is silently asking, will you stay grounded when I stop making this easy? Most men fail here, because they react, they overtext, they ask what changed, they seek reassurance, and the moment they do, the tension dies. Because attraction often breathes in uncertainty. Here's something most men never realize. A woman who doesn't care usually won't invest energy into subtle games. Indifference is simple. Interest is complicated. Interest gets nervous. Interest overthinks. Interest protects itself. And a woman who likes you may hide behind teasing, mixed signals, pauses, because she doesn't want to be too exposed, especially if she's been hurt before, especially if she values herself, especially if she feels you actually matter. The more a woman feels, the less obvious she may become. Let that sink in. Sometimes her silence is not rejection, it is emotional caution. And I need you to hear this. When she creates a little distance, do not rush to fill it. Hold your frame. Stay warm. Stay relaxed. Stay unshaken. Because confidence is not chasing reassurance. Confidence is remaining centered in ambiguity. And that is rare. That is magnetic. A woman notices the man who does not crumble under silence. She notices the man who does not beg for clarity. She notices the man who understands tension without trying to control it. That man feels safe. That man feels masculine. That man is different. And sometimes, that silent game she's playing, it's not about pushing you away. It's about seeing whether you're emotionally strong enough to come closer. And when you understand that, you stop fearing her silence. You start reading what's hidden inside it. And suddenly, what once looked like confusion starts looking a lot like attraction. There's another silent game women play when they secretly like you. And this one confuses men even more. She acts slightly harder to impress. Not impossible, just harder. And most men take it personally. They think, if she liked me, she'd make this easier. No, not always. Sometimes when a woman feels drawn to you, she raises the bar. She becomes more observant, more selective, almost challenging. And it's not because she wants to punish you, it's because attraction makes her careful. A woman who feels nothing may smile, flirt, keep things casual, low investment, no risk. But when she actually likes a man, suddenly she notices everything. How you react when she disagrees, how you treat people, whether your confidence is real or performance, whether your charm disappears when she stops feeding it. And this is where many men collapse, because they start performing, trying to prove, trying to win, trying too hard. And the irony? The harder a man tries to impress a woman, the less impressive he often becomes. Because strength is relaxed, neediness performs. A woman who secretly likes you may question you more, challenge your opinions, playfully disagree, push back, not to reject you, to feel your backbone. Can you hold your own? Can you smile under pressure? Can you flirt instead of defend? Can you stay playful when tested? Because women often read emotional strength through tension. And here is the silent game. She creates small friction to see if your energy changes. Weak men become reactive. Strong men become intriguing. Big difference. Maybe she teases you. Maybe she doesn't compliment you much. Maybe she acts less impressed than she really is. And you start thinking, she's impossible. No, she may be interested enough to stop making it easy. There's a reason some women seem almost colder around the men they secretly like. Because attraction can trigger self-protection, pride, vulnerability, fear of looking too eager. And instead of leaning in obviously, they disguise interest as resistance. It's subtle, but it's real. Watch for this. She remembers tiny details you mentioned weeks ago. She challenges you but stays engaged. She playfully resists but never fully disappears. She makes things difficult but keeps showing up. That is not rejection, that is tension. And tension is often where attraction hides. Men who understand this stop trying to win women over. They stop auditioning. They stop over-explaining themselves. They stop chasing approval. And something powerful happens. They become calm, centered, untouched. And that energy pulls women in. Because the man who doesn't crumble under challenge feels rare. A woman may test because she likes you enough to wonder, is he solid or just smooth? And your response answers everything. If you get defensive, you lose mystery. If you become needy, attraction leaks. But if you grin, stay playful, meet her challenge without trying to dominate, you awaken chemistry. Because now she feels tension with safety, fire with steadiness. And that combination is hard to forget. So when she seems slightly hard to impress, don't rush to prove yourself. Observe, relax, let her discover you. Because sometimes the woman who seems hardest to read is the one feeling the most. And the silent game she's playing? It may be her way of asking, are you the kind of man who folds under pressure, or the kind a woman can't stop thinking about? There's a silent game women play when they secretly like you, and this one drives men crazy. She gives you attention, then pulls it away. Hot, cold, close, then distant. And men call it mixed signals. But often, it's emotional hesitation, and that's very different. Because when a woman feels something real, she may lean in instinctively, then retreat when it feels too revealing. She texts first, then goes quiet. She laughs too hard at your joke, then becomes reserved. She looks at you with warmth, then suddenly acts composed. And you think, what is happening? I'll tell you what's happening. She is managing her own feelings, because attraction can make a woman feel exposed, especially when she's trying not to. And one of the silent games she plays is giving you glimpses without fully surrendering. She lets you feel her interest, then she hides it. Not because it disappeared, because she became aware of it. And awareness makes people cautious. This is where insecure men panic. They chase harder when she pulls back. They overanalyze every delay, they force clarity, and they destroy the natural tension. But emotionally strong men understand something powerful. Consistency matters. But perfect predictability is not how attraction often looks in the beginning. Real chemistry can feel messy, alive, uncertain, because two people are sensing each other, testing safety. And sometimes a woman will pull back simply because she felt herself getting too drawn in. That scares her, especially if she values control. Watch this closely. When she likes you, even her pullback often has connection hidden inside it. She disappears for a day, then comes back warm. She gets distant, but remembers details about you. She acts cool, yet watches your reactions. That's not emotional absence, that's guarded attraction. And the silent game is, will you become unstable when I fluctuate? Because many men can handle praise, few can handle ambiguity, and women notice. A man who loses his center when her energy shifts feels emotionally heavy. But a man who stays grounded, that feels secure. And security creates desire. You know what makes a woman lean closer? Not a man begging for consistency, a man unaffected by small emotional waves, Because now she feels, he isn't controlled by my moods, he has gravity, that's attractive. And I need you to understand something most men miss. When she goes warm then cool, do not obsess over the cool, respond to the warmth. Reward what opens, don't punish what hesitates. That changes everything. Because women often move toward men who feel emotionally spacious, not men who pressure them for certainty. If she secretly likes you, sometimes she pulls away just to see whether you rush, whether you react, whether your confidence survives uncertainty. And if it does, her trust rises, her attraction deepens, because she feels your steadiness, and steadiness is seductive. So the next time she gives attention, then withdraws, don't instantly assume disinterest. Sometimes she isn't playing with you, she's wrestling with herself. And there's a difference. One pushes you away, the other circles you carefully. Learn to tell them apart. Because the man who understands this stops being confused by mixed signals. He starts seeing hidden desire beneath hesitation. And suddenly, what once looked like emotional inconsistency starts looking like a woman secretly trying not to fall too fast. There's another silent game women play when they secretly like you. And this one is so subtle most men miss it completely. She watches, quietly, more than she speaks. And if you don't understand what you're seeing, you'll think nothing is happening. But everything is happening. Because when a woman likes a man, she often studies him before she reveals herself. She notices how you carry yourself when no one is watching, how you react when things don't go your way, how you treat people who can do nothing for you. She pays attention in silence. And sometimes, that silence is loaded. Maybe she doesn't flirt openly. Maybe she doesn't chase conversation. Maybe she seems almost reserved. But she notices when you walk in. She catches small details about you. She remembers things you forgot you said. She watches your energy with other people. And that's the game. Observation before expression. A lot of women don't lead with pursuit. They lead with perception. And when she secretly likes you, she may become more watchful than obvious. This is where men make mistakes. They assume if she isn't loudly interested, she isn't interested. Wrong. Many women reveal attraction through attention, not aggression. Through presence, through awareness, through subtle focus. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Maybe she asks indirect questions about your life. Maybe she notices when your mood shifts. Maybe she pretends not to care while tracking everything. That isn't random. That's emotional investment hiding in plain sight. And sometimes she'll do something even more revealing. She'll bring up tiny things to see if you notice her noticing. That's a clue. Because women often signal interest sideways, not directly, especially when they don't want rejection. And there's a test inside this too. She may observe whether you can read subtlety, whether you have emotional awareness, whether you only understand obvious signals or deeper ones. Because women feel safer with men who perceive, not just pursue. And most men miss this because they're looking for loud signs, big signs, clear signs. But attraction is often quieter than that. Sometimes it looks like a woman remembering your coffee order, asking about something you mentioned once, looking at you when you're distracted, laughing hardest when you aren't trying. These things matter. They are rarely accidents. And here's where men ruin it. They try too hard once they sense interest. They force momentum, push intensity, rush the connection. Don't. Let her curiosity breathe, because being deeply seen by a woman starts in those silent moments. And if she's watching you, don't perform. Be real. That's what she's trying to read. Not your game, your substance, your emotional shape, your steadiness. Because when a woman secretly likes you, she often wants to admire before she risks attachment. And admiration grows in observation, not pressure. This is why mysterious men are often misunderstood. It's not mystery women love, it's depth they can keep discovering. And silent observation is often where that discovery begins. So if a woman seems quiet but unusually attentive, don't dismiss it. That may be her silent game, watching before revealing, feeling before admitting, studying before trusting. And if you can recognize that, you stop overlooking women who are drawn to you but careful. You start seeing what others miss, Because sometimes the woman saying the least is noticing you the most. And sometimes her silence isn't emptiness, it's interest, holding its breath. There's one silent game women play when they secretly like you, and this one exposes more than words ever could. She tries to make you notice her, without making it obvious. Read that again. She wants your attention, but she wants it to feel natural, unforced, almost accidental. And this is where men miss the signal, because they're waiting for direct pursuit. But women often invite pursuit indirectly. That's the game. Subtle invitations. Maybe she finds reasons to be around you. Maybe conversations somehow keep reopening. Maybe she mentions things hoping you'll follow up. Maybe she lightly teases just to keep emotional contact alive. Small moves, hidden bids, and they matter. Because a woman who feels nothing usually doesn't create little openings. She doesn't keep leaving doors cracked. But a woman who secretly likes you often does. She creates chances, then watches if you walk through them. That part is important. She watches. Because she wants to know, will you recognize my effort? Will you meet me halfway? Or will I have to carry this alone? And attraction often grows or dies right there. Not in dramatic moments, in those tiny invitations. She may ask for your opinion on something she could decide herself. She may linger when she could leave. She may bring up personal things unexpectedly. She may playfully provoke you just to keep your focus. And to most men, it looks casual. To a perceptive man, it looks intentional, because it is. And sometimes she'll mention other men, not to make you jealous, to measure whether you care. Yes, that happens, not as manipulation, as emotional radar. She wants to feel your presence, your interest, your edge. And if you respond with insecurity, you fail the moment. If you respond with calm confidence, something shifts. Because now she feels your emotional maturity, and that is deeply attractive. Understand this. A woman who secretly likes you often doesn't want to chase. She wants to be met. There's a difference. And these silent invitations are her way of saying, come closer, but with awareness. And men who understand this stop waiting for obvious green lights. They start noticing emotional openings and responding to them. That's where chemistry deepens, not in rehearsed lines. In responsiveness, in reading what isn't spoken, in catching what was quietly offered. And I need to warn you, don't mistake subtle invitation for something to force. That ruins it. Receive it lightly. Play with it. Let tension build. Because attraction often grows through mutual recognition. I see you seeing me. That energy is electric. And when a woman feels you notice what others miss, she feels understood. And being understood can become desire very quickly. So when she keeps creating little reasons to connect, don't dismiss it as coincidence. Patterns reveal intention, and intention often reveals attraction. Sometimes her silent game is simply this: I'm giving you opportunities. Will you notice? And if you do, if you respond without pressure, without neediness, without overreaching, you awaken something powerful. Because now she doesn't just feel drawn to you, she feels met. And that changes everything. Because often the woman secretly liking you isn't hiding all her signals. She's scattering them softly, hoping the right man can read them. And now we come to the silent game almost no man understands. The woman who secretly likes you may sometimes act as if she doesn't need you at all. She becomes composed, independent, almost untouched. And men misread this more than anything. They think, she's too cold, too detached, too uninterested. But sometimes what looks like distance is dignity. And there is a difference. Because a woman who truly values herself often does not throw her feelings at a man. She contains them. She lets attraction breathe quietly. And if she likes you, she may hide that softness behind strength. Why? Because vulnerability feels risky, especially when she genuinely cares. The more she feels, the more she may protect. And here's the silent game. She shows you she can live without your validation, while secretly hoping you recognize her interest anyway. That is a very feminine tension. And many men ruin this by assuming they must crack her open. No, you don't force depth. You create safety for it. Big difference. Sometimes she acts unaffected, but notices when your attention shifts. Sometimes she seems self-contained, but lights up when you engage. Sometimes she pretends she doesn't need anything, while quietly hoping you pursue with intention. Not pressure, intention. And mature women especially do this, because they don't perform desperation, they move with self-respect. And weak men confuse self-respect with disinterest. Strong men recognize the difference. This is why emotional intelligence matters in dating, because attraction isn't always loud. Sometimes it wears armor. And one of the deepest signs she secretly likes you is she keeps giving you chances to lead, without asking for it. She waits to see, will you rise? Will you read between the lines? Will you pursue with calm confidence instead of ego? Because ego pushes, confidence invites, and women feel that difference immediately. Listen to me carefully. The man women trust is often not the most aggressive. It's the man who can feel what isn't spoken. The man who doesn't panic in silence, doesn't perform under challenge, doesn't chase when she pulls back, doesn't miss subtle invitations, and doesn't mistake her composure for absence of feeling. That man understands women more deeply than most, and that alone makes him rare. So if she's playing these silent games, distance, challenge, hot and cold, observation, subtle independence, composed independence, don't just ask, does she like me? Ask, can I understand what her behavior is really saying? Because that changes how you show up. And when you show up differently, women respond differently. That's the truth most men were never taught. Attraction is often hidden in what looks confusing. Interest often wears disguise. And the woman secretly drawn to you may not say it. She may not confess it. She may never make it obvious. But she will reveal it in patterns, in tension, in pauses, in tests, in the strange little silent games that only make sense once you stop taking them personally. And maybe that's what you needed to hear today. Maybe the woman you thought was distant was careful. Maybe the woman you thought was complicated was interested. Maybe the silence you feared was never rejection. Maybe it was invitation. If this opened your eyes, subscribe, like the video, and tell me in the comments which silent game you've seen before. Because I promise you, once you understand female psychology at this level, you stop chasing signals and start recognizing desire when it whispers.